the Madman! Welcome to a very special episode of Top Custom Cards, because this episode we're doing the top custom cards of 5 weeks. 2 cards from each week. As a note, I did not just pick the best cards out of these 5 weeks, but the ones that were most interesting. Sometimes those are cards that are poor designs. Sometimes those are cards that are horribly imbalanced. But whatever criteria I use for interesting, we're covering the top 10 of a 5-week period. Let's start with Courageous Sapling, a Druid 2 mana 2/2. Choose one or all. Gain +1 health, gain +1 attack, your opponent draws 1 card. So this card can either be a 2 mana 3/2, a 2 mana 2/3, or a 2 mana 3/3, your opponent draws 1 card. Design 5 stars, balance 3 stars. I really like this idea. Being able to choose all and having 3 options and having the third option be a negative. The main problem with this card right now is that this card would never see play. It reminds me of Booty Bay Bookie. The 2 mana 3/3 option of Booty Bay Bookie gives your opponent a coin. This is worse, it gives your opponent a card, which is generally better than a coin. So no, it's not strong enough. There are a number of options to make it stronger. Perhaps a 1 mana 1/2, although that would perhaps be too strong as either 1 mana 2/2 or 1 mana 1/3. Or perhaps you change the drawback to not be as severe as draw 1 card. Perhaps you change the drawback to be something situational, such as your opponent's minions gain +1/+1. In that case, if your opponent has 1 minion, then it's a losing deal to give your opponent's minions +1/+1, but if your opponent has no minions, then Courageous Sapling is simply a 2 mana 3/3. A cool situation where choosing all in that state is very good. Barctic Explorer, 2 mana 2/1 beast with rush, battle cry, freeze an enemy minion. Design 4 stars, balance 5 stars. Pretty simple card, it's simply Glacier Shark with rush, and costs 1 more mana, and it's a beast. He's not necessarily too strong. Glacier Shard wasn't too powerful, only used in a few decks, and when I thought about where this neutral card would fit in, even though it's kind of nice, you can kill a guy and freeze a guy, it's not that apparent that it goes into any decks. Nice little flex option, and what a cute doggo. I think it's 2 abilities and a tribal tag that are all very nice to put together on 1 card. Unraveling Mummy, a Paladin 3 mana 2/3 with Reborn, Death Rattle, add a bandage to your hand. The bandage, for 1 mana, restores 2 health. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. Now let me start off by saying, this card is very strong. It's like Harvest Golem, without the mech tag, except you're getting 2 free bandages along with it. So how can I rate this a balance 5 when the Harvest Golem actually sees a little bit of play? Well, there's 2 things. One, this is a class card, and notably a class card in a weak class right now, Paladin. Paladin does have Murloc Paladin in this meta, but it doesn't have that many Reborn, and while the quest is a Reborn lover, that deck isn't tier 1. So I do think this card is made on the strong side. It would clearly be made to push the Paladin quest or just be a generally good Paladin card, but sometimes it's okay to push the boundaries. Every once in a while, it is fine to print a card that is just distinctly strong in a particular class. Love the flavor of this card, and I actually think the bandage restoring 2 health is very neat. The flavor is if you put the bandage back on the mummy that is unraveling, you heal it back to full, since it reborns the 3 mana 2/1. Nice. Falling Chimera, a hunter 5 mana 3/6 legendary beast, battle cry, choose the height of the fall. At 100 meters, you deal 2 damage to all minions, and you land immediately, so the battle cry would just go off. At 200 meters, you deal 5 damage to all other minions, notably, and it goes off next turn. So you play it this turn, does nothing. Next turn, you start off the turn by having it land and dealing 5 damage to all minions, and you have a 3/6 in play. Or 300 meters, destroy all minions and gain rush. Lands in 2 turns. Design 4 stars, balance 1 star. I think this card is extremely creative, and is likely going to be a mechanic someday. The idea of paying something now and getting an effect later. A powerful effect, but you get it as a delayed effect. The problem with it, and the reason I docked a point off of design, is that I think the 300 meters is pretty inelegant. I feel like it's awkward to say and gain rush on a destroy all minions effect. Yes, sometimes the rush is important because you can rush into something that has a death rattle, but Also, this card has an error where it notably should say to all other minions instead of all minions, because otherwise it would count itself. Now for the balance perspective, the immediate option is far too powerful. It's like Dragon Maul Scorcher, except instead of deal 1, it's deal 2 to all minions. That's simply too powerful given that Dragon Maul Scorcher was a powerful card by its own right. And yes, it had the dragon tag, but this has a beast tag. I would say the 200 and 300 meter option are also too powerful. I mean, this card is Dragon Maul Scorcher with additional options on top of that. The second one essentially kills everything and makes it so you have tempo by immediately putting a 3/6 into play for 0 mana the next turn. Yes, you lose tempo the turn you're playing Falling Chimera, but your opponent can't really play any other cards in order to put on any pressure because they're just simply going to have 5 damage dealt to them. 200 meters is probably one of the strongest options and is far too strong. So I would nerf that 5 damage to all minions to 2 damage. By the way, I think that actually might still be too strong. And at 300 meters, destroying all minions is simply absurd. It's kind of like a Doomsayer that's guaranteed to go off in 2 turns. And it's always a strong play to freeze and then play Doomsayer. This is like a Doomsayer that they cannot interact with. Absurdly overpowered. And I would say at 300 meters, like even 3 damage is fine. Ner Zhul, a Shaman, 4 mana 3/6. Whenever you would overload, deal that amount as damage to your hero instead. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. But wait, you might say, Ner Zhul was a Warlock. Well, you'd be kind of right, but Ner Zhul was actually first a Shaman. And I think this card beautifully captures how the Shamans got tempted a bit into the Warlock magics. Take a Warlock mechanic of doing damage to yourself instead of a Shaman mechanic of overloading for mana. A very cool bargain, and I think it's appropriately priced. Yes, you would rather pay health instead of overload, and there you go, minor benefit. The Hive, 3 mana druid minion, 0/5, taunt. Whenever this minion is attacked, cast bees on the attacker. Design 4 stars, balance 1 star. This card is absurd, and first of all, I am going to say that the author did make a clarification. It should say after this minion is attacked. Certainly whenever this minion is attacked is crazy because it means the Hive would always deal 4 damage to the minion before it even took damage. So if the minion which is attacking has less than 4 health, the Hive doesn't even take any damage because of the first strike of bees. This card is very oppressive as is, even after the change to after this minion is attacked. Because if you're attacking this minion with anything less than 4 health, you're getting the Hive owner to spawn extra 1/1s on top. It's kind of like a 4/5 with taunt for 3 mana, which has overkill summon 1/1s based on like how much this overkilled by. And by the way, the overkill works during your opponent's turn. That said, it's the split between design and balance. It is really flavorful for a Hive to spawn bees. It may not be that flavorful for a Hive to have taunt. You might wonder, why does the Hive have taunt? Well, it could be for honey, the author suggested. A little bit silly, but certainly the card would be better as a tempting Hive then. So balance-wise, how do we fix the card? Perhaps a 3 mana 0/2, perhaps a 3 mana 0/3, perhaps a 4 mana 0/4. That way the card could at least be dealt with efficiently with a spell, and then not have bees be spawned. Or if bees are spawned, then at least let a 4 mana 4/5 be able to efficiently kill the 4 mana Hive. Since the Hive is just so strong against multiple minions, if you're attacking and trying to kill the Hive with 2 attack minions if it were to have 4 health, the amount of value is casting 2 bees. That's a lot of value. A Paladin legendary, High Exarch Turalian, 7 mana 7/5. Start of game, if your deck has no duplicates, your silver hand recruits have rush this game. Design, 2 stars, balance 4 stars. Looking at the Reddit thread of this particular card, people congratulated the author saying, "Nice, finally a start of game effect that isn't overpowered." And you know what? I'm going to agree. Yes, it's not that powerful to have your hero power sometimes be able to immediately deal 1, which would just be a Fire Blast, instead of summoning a 1/1. But you know what? It's still quite significant. But hey, at least it's not that consistent, right? Your deck has to have no duplicates. Well, here's the additional problem. Imagine this card in Wild Odd Paladin. Yes, you would build a singleton deck of that, but you do have Muster for Battle, you do have Vine Cleaver. You just start off the game, you're able to press the button and then summon 2 1/1s, which can even act quickly and then immediately kill your opponent's stuff. That is very oppressive gameplay. So, for a simple crime of not considering Wild Odd Paladin, I do have to dock the design quite a bit. Also, not really covered, but this card can't really come out in the same set as Finley, because that would be very strange to have 2 cards that have the same if your deck has no duplicates theme. Having one particular class have 2 if your deck has no duplicates is kind of strange. I think this card could be printed as not an odd card and in a different set, like perhaps in a year. Sleep Spores, a Hunter Secret, 2 mana. After an enemy attacks, all enemy minions fall asleep. Design 3 stars, balance 4 stars. My main design quip about this card is that the condition to activate this is far too broad. After any enemy attacks anything, the secret triggers. Freezing Trap only works when a minion attacks. Explosive Trap only works when the enemy attacks your face. Snake Trap only activates when you attack a minion. And yes, Freezing Trap activates a lot, but usually your opponent has a lot of say in which minion to attack with first. Sleep Spores doesn't matter what you attack with, everything is falling asleep. It's basically just Frost Nova, because your opponent will begin their turn by attacking something and then all of your stuff will fall asleep, basically freeze. So perhaps it could read after an enemy minion deals damage to your hero, or rather after an enemy deals damage to your hero, so that weapons can also activate this, so that one attack is done. Because there's a lot of tension between the Freezing Trap and the Explosive Trap and the Sleep Spores. You want to attack with your biggest guy so that the Sleep Spores effect doesn't go off, you get one attack at least, but you also don't want to attack with your biggest guy because of Freezing Trap. So this would be a really cool card to put into the Hunter arsenal. Right now it's just too broad is all. Deadly Moves. A rogue 7 mana spell. Destroy a minion. Costs 1 less for each card you played this turn. Design 5 stars. Balance 4 stars. Special comment from Hearthstone developer Mike Donay. Deadly Moves was considered as a card that they were going to print, so that's high praise. Does look like it fits the rogue theme very well. It's like super combo, because the more cards you play, the better the card is, kind of like Edwin Van Cleef. This card does compare very unfavorably to Vilespine Slayer. Now most cards do. So in order for Deadly Moves to be as good as Vilespine Slayer, you have to play 2 cards before it, and you don't get a 3/4. That's pretty restrictive. Sure, Deadly Moves can sometimes cost like 3, but you have to play 4 cards before that, and that's really quite a lot to ask. So my suggestion would be to cost this down to 6. Then you can play something like 3 cards, 4th card, Preparation, and then have this card be 1 mana. That could be efficient, it could lead somewhere for Rogue. But really cool to see Mike Donay comment on a custom card like that. And that leads us to the trump card of the episode. Normal Human Man. 3 mana, 1/3, Death Rattle, summon 3 1/1 Murlocs. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. Let me say this first of all. If not for the art, and not for the card name, this card would be very boring in design. It's just Wobbling Runts halved. But this goes to show that the art and the name are very, very important. This card evokes imagery of 3 Murlocs standing on top of each other and disguising themselves so well as a normal human man that doesn't even have a tribal Murloc tag. And then when the human man is defeated, aha! The disguise has been revealed and 3 Murlocs show themselves. And I feel like this particular card, top card of my choice out of these 50 cards I looked at, does say that a lot has to do with Just choosing a good name, choosing a good flavor. Worth noting, I believe this card could be a 3 mana 2/3. And I do think it needs to have the 3 health to show it's something like the 3 Murlocs. So can't really change this to a 3 mana 2/2, which would make the card stronger. 3 mana 2/3 would really improve this card. Does it need to be improved? Perhaps not, but if you want to see more people playing the hilarious normal human man, then perhaps you amplify the card a bit more to show how cool it is. Everyone loves playing against normal human man, and it'll just get a chuckle each time your opponent plays it, or while you play it.